Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Angela. I'm so happy to have you. Today we're going to be talking about the 9 symptoms of borderline personality disorder, and I'm going to explain them a little bit to the best of my ability. I'm going to explain what they are, what they feel like, what they look like. I really hope you enjoy. If you stick around till the end, make sure you give it a like, subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I love you guys. Mwah. Okay, let's get right into it. There are 9 main symptoms of borderline personality disorder. You have to experience at least 5 of them in order to be diagnosed with BPD. So we're just going to jump right in. We're going to get into what are the 9 main symptoms of borderline personality disorder, and I'm going to explain how they've affected me. Everything I talk about obviously comes from personal experience and how it's affected my life. So I'm going to try and explain the best I can how these symptoms have affected my life, and hopefully it'll help some of you relate or realize that they affect your life in the same way. So again, I just Googled to find a list of the 9 symptoms. So we're just going to go right in the order that they are on this website, and I'm going to explain them. So the first one is fear of abandonment. Everyone with BPD, I think, can relate to this one. Basically, when you have BPD, pretty much your whole life, how you're feeling and everything, is based upon how well the relationships in your life are going. Because a huge fear you have is the people you really truly care about leaving you or just abandoning you for no reason, or there is a reason. It doesn't really matter. Whether something triggers the abandonment or whether it's just random abandonment, or even if it's just perceived abandonment. Sometimes if we think you're going to abandon us, it can hurt just the exact same as if someone were to really abandon us. If someone that I really care about, that I talk to a lot, on a regular basis, if they were to send me a text that I thought seemed kind of off or didn't really seem like them, that might really send me into some kind of spiral of thinking they're going to abandon me, they're going to leave me, they're never going to want to talk to me again. And that is really the thoughts that do come into our head when we think someone is going to abandon us, that they're going to leave us, they're never going to want to talk to us again, they're never going to want to see us again. So fear of abandonment is a very big one. It can cause a lot of panic, a lot of anxiety. It's just really nice to have people in your life who reassure you a lot and who really make sure that aren't going to leave you. So, yeah. If you can find people like that, you are very lucky. The second symptom in this list is unstable relationships. Most relationships that occur with someone who has BPD are pretty unstable. They tend to be super intense, and that can come from the fear of abandonment, because since we need a lot of reassurance, it can be tiring for the other person in the relationship too, to constantly have to remind us that they're not going to leave us and constantly have to remind us that they're there for us. Unstable relationships is just a very common BPD symptom. Relationships tend to be very up and down. I hate to say this, but almost inevitably your relationship with someone who has BPD will end. I mean, there are obviously instances where relationships don't end. There are people who have BPD who are in very healthy, stable relationships that last a really long time, and it's totally possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is totally possible to have a long-lasting, healthy relationship with someone who has BPD. It just definitely takes a lot of work, a lot of effort from both parties in the relationship. It's not impossible, but it definitely takes a lot of work. Romantic relationships tend to be a little different. They are super intense, especially because with romantic relationships also comes things like jealousy, which just adds to the intensity of the relationship. And like I said, it is still possible to have a long-lasting relationship, romantic relationship, with someone who has BPD. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. The next symptom is unclear or shifting self-image. Basically, when you have BPD, it is really hard for you to know who you are. You basically constantly, your opinions, feelings, emotions, beliefs are shifting. You know, you're constantly changing, and this can manifest in so many different ways, like changing your hair color, getting tattoos, getting piercings, changing your style, changing your religion, you know, changing the way you do your makeup, changing like basically everything about yourself, because you're constantly trying to find something that feels like it could fit you and be your personality. When you have BPD, it's really hard to know what your true personality is. You don't have a very clear image on who you are, who you want to be, what your beliefs even are. Like, really, everything about yourself is constantly changing, almost like a chameleon. And this comes into play a lot as we pick up different personality traits from different people that we meet in our lives, different celebrities that we follow online, different influencers that we follow online. When you have BPD, your self-image is constantly shifting, the way you express yourself is constantly changing, probably the way you look is constantly changing.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure where my brain was when I was filming this video, but I forgot to mention that the next thing I'm going to be talking about is impulsive and self-destructive behaviors.
And self-destructive behaviors can be things such as stealing, like shoplifting, spending your money on extravagant things that you maybe don't necessarily have the money for. It can be dyeing your hair, getting tattoos, getting piercings. Doesn't necessarily have to be those things, but those could be examples of ones. Driving recklessly, binge eating, you know, things that maybe aren't necessarily in your best interest, looking out for your safety, things that you're not really spending too much time thinking upon, thinking about the consequences of, mostly things that just pop in your mind and you kind of just act right on. Things you're not really spending too much time thinking, what's going to happen to me if I do this thing? Kind of just something you're jumping right on doing. The next symptom is self-harm. People with BPD tend to partake a lot in things like self-harm, suicidal ideation, making a plan. If you don't know what suicidal ideation is, it basically is the thought of suicide, thinking of suicide, maybe making a plan, not acting out on it. So not actually following through, but maybe making a plan, maybe thinking about it. So that goes very much hand in hand with BPD, suicidal ideation and self-harm.
Okay, I'm sorry for the literal photo booth horrible lighting, but basically when I was talking about self-harm, for some reason I just stopped. I think I just blacked out during the video. I just stopped talking about it. So basically I just wanted to add a little thing. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but examples of self-harm could be cutting, burning, substance abuse, and starving or binging. Those could, as well as being acts of impulsiveness, could also be acts of self harm. So basically, anything you're doing against yourself to hurt yourself or put yourself in harm's way could be an act of self harm.
The next symptom is extreme emotional mood swings. If you have BPD, you know that this very much affects your everyday life. You probably go through emotional mood swings 100 times throughout your day. Your mood is constantly changing, your emotions are constantly shifting. 1 minute you feel happy, we'll say, and the next minute you feel like complete despair, like the world is ending, and it's almost like you have no control over it. It's like your emotions are constantly shifting back and forth. It's like you're riding a roller coaster every day of your life, and you don't know what this roller coaster is like. You've never been on it before, and I guess we'll just sit along for the ride. No, but that really is what emotional mood swings are like. It's like a roller coaster you've never been on before, you've never ridden before, you don't know what's about to happen. They just kind of hit you right in the face throughout the day. The next symptom is chronic feeling of emptiness. This is truly exactly what it sounds like. Chronic feeling of emptiness. Walking around feeling like there is absolutely nothing inside of you. No organs, no skeleton, nothing. You're walking around feeling like a ghost, feeling like you're completely numb, like your body is just a shell. That's how I would explain it. I would explain it like when you're walking around, you feel like your body is just a shell with nothing inside. And this feeling is always accompanied by the feeling of numbness. So basically, you feel like you have no emotions as well as nothing physically in your body. So you really do feel like a ghost walking around. The next symptom is explosive anger. I think I kind of touched on this in my last video. I actually can't remember. But basically, anger, I would explain it like a light switch, like someone flips a switch before you have time to do anything about it. When something triggers anger in someone who has BPD, it is most of the time, it is very explosive, hard to control. The person with BPD will say and do things they don't really mean. They didn't really mean to say or do. They didn't have the intent of saying or doing. It's almost like you have no control over what you're saying or doing, and then afterwards comes a complete wave of guilt that just fills your entire body, and you are just questioning, why did I do that? Why did I say that? I wish I didn't get so angry. And the last symptom is feeling suspicious or out of touch with reality. This pretty much explains itself. Feeling suspicious or out of touch with reality. Just feeling like you can't really believe that your life is real. Feeling like when you look around, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. I mean, it almost is like you feel like you're living in some kind of simulation, some kind of cartoon. Maybe it feels like someone else is actually controlling your life. Maybe it feels like you're not the one that has control over your life and you're living in a simulation and you don't know what's going to happen next. Thoughts like that. Thoughts like, I don't think I'm living in the real world. I don't think I'm living on Earth. I don't know where I'm living. Thoughts like you're just questioning your reality. You're questioning your real life. You're questioning, am I real? Do people actually see me? Do people actually know what I'm like saying? Things like that. You just really start to question your reality and what is reality. And yeah, that one I think kind of explains itself. So, like I said, you need to experience 5 out of these 9 symptoms in order to be diagnosed with BPD. I hope this video helped. I hope if you experience any of these symptoms or you know someone who experiences any of these symptoms, you won't be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help is not embarrassing. This is a hard, hard illness to deal with alone. You really need people on your side to help you. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Never forget that you guys are so strong and you mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe down below, and I love you guys. Bye!